voice. You call it instinct, mother to it. I've never thought about getting married until I saw her. I'm in prison on furlough, coming out of prison, going back to prison every night. And we hooked up, and we were together for 3 years before she found out I was doing life. I forgot I had a life sentence, man.
Damn.
I'm in the street, working at the TV station, got an apartment, driving a BMW, going back to prison 2-3 nights a week, got a press pass going in and out of the White House all over the city, and I'm doing life. And I forgot all about it.
That's love.
And we got to get going together for about 4 or 5 years. Then I asked to go back to prison.
That's what you do to that dude?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's what he forget
about prison. He
forgot he got life.
Because Tyrone brought his wife and mentioned her. But I want to ask you, what got you into the media?
Well, it was a guy named Larry Bryan and Jim Vance came out of Lawton one year, and I was writing plays anyway. So that was just a logical transition from plays. Because they came in, they filmed their plays, they put it on television. One of the plays we did won the New York Film Festival, and they let us out to rewrite it. I did a couple more films. Films and TV are just closely related. And I didn't go to school for it. I didn't have a high school diploma. I just had a life sentence, and I wanted to come home, man. And all I had was that passion and that drive. And I taught myself how to write plays, taught myself how to write movies, just watching them. Because I ain't had nothing to lose. And when I started doing these plays and movies, they started letting us out. We performed at the U.S. Senate, all over America, at the Smithsonian Museum, at the Folk Life Festival. We performed at every college, university. And all I was doing was just writing plays and rehearsing and practice. I didn't get a visit for 5 years. I didn't allow nobody to come see me, man. I didn't need no visit. It hurt to get a visit because I had life. I didn't want nobody to tell me about a cookout or a family reunion that I could never, ever, ever go to. And that hurt when you heard that. So I just took my visit list and cut it in half. I didn't want no visits, man. I spent all my time on writing plays and rehearsing. And I knew that if I kept on doing this, and I one day the guys tell me, said, man, damn writing them plays. The courts don't read no plays, they read motions. You better get in that law library, boy.
What was the first play you ever wrote?
It was called Christmas in Time. It's about 10 men. I got a copy of it right here for y'all. I got a copy of the play. It's about 10 guys in prison on Christmas Day. And it's a different story about how Christmas began. It's a story about a black Christmas and how Christ wasn't born in a manger. He was born in the hood, on the floor of a bootlegger spot.
Wild Irish Roach.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wild Irish
We got copies of it.
So, look, real quick, I just want you guys to also speak about, obviously Dr. Register started this whole interview about the movie we saw last night, the screening.
We're at 138.
So tell me a little bit about the movie, man. I want you to tell the people about the movie. This podcast is going to be heard by a lot of people, man. We saw the screening last night. Returning Citizens. So how did the movie come about?
Well, it was brought to my attention, like I say, from the producers that came to the office and basically began to talk about filming us and the work that we were doing. And the whole perspective was to change the image of the previously incarcerated population in regards to public safety. And that was, which was a very unique concept because the large majority of times we very seldom see the previously incarcerated population that had primarily made an impact on public safety as visible as we saw last night. And basically that was the whole thrust of it, to be able to change the imagery, the perspective of our population. And that was the concept. So what they did, they primarily worked with us or walked with us on a number of different outings, primarily working with the kids to see how the method looked, how it primarily was, and to see us as individuals being able to transform the community. That as Zeke stated on the piece that he did, you all did not see the whole piece. They basically cut it. But there is a piece that went viral in regards to shows our whole interview or the whole piece with Zeke. And it was a hell of a piece because Zeke, at the very end of that piece, Zeke go on to say, we got to learn how to love each other. That's the solution. And that was the common denominator that I think that bridged the old and the young together, being able to talk to them, and them being able to see the logic and the reason of it, but the respect that they have from this population and being able to utilize it as leverage for our community on the whole. Because the community is in need of support.
Right.
The community is in need of this population. And that was primarily the reason as to how we got involved in it in regards to the documentary, to be able to help as a segment of it to show the work of the Alliance of Concerned Men in regards to transforming the communities and the people that we were actually involved with.
So what's your hopes for the movie? Like, what's next?
Well, we went into it looking at what our next steps would be from that, and how we would begin to look at how do we change policy pertaining to our particular population, and how do we utilize this as a transformation tool in regards to taking it to different prisons and different colleges that would basically be able to show almost the same floor mat. Because I think that, as I have made mention of, for an individual to be able to look at another individual that have had the same difficulties that they have had and lift themselves up
Lift themselves up.
is a transformational tool within itself.
It's like Alcoholics Anonymous.
That's in fact, Roach has looked at starting that type of support group. See, but what the city have got to do, they cannot let these community leaders previously incarcerated that have started community-based programs die on the vine. This is hanging fruit that should be utilized for the purpose of public safety, for the purpose of changing culture, for the purpose of support for other individuals that are coming home. This is an ideal situation. And for them not to utilize this would almost be like a sin, or a parent's sin, especially after it's been brought to their attention.
Last night I forgot to mention a guy who had been in there, who was in the audience, been locked up 40 years. And I was surprised to see him there. And one of the things that we were talking about doing is starting a group called OA, Offender Anonymous. It's like AA and NA. When I mentioned the guys went over from the Unger decision, these 3,300 guys in Baltimore who've been locked up over 35 years. You won't realize what that's like unless you go through that. When you come out, man, you've been gone 35 years. It's like being released to Hong Kong or Vietnam, and you can't speak the language, you don't know the streets, you don't know how to get around. And yet, this is home. When you come home, and what do you do when home ain't home? And home ain't there no more? Where do you go? What do? You know what I mean? So we got a program called OA. And when I came out the last time, I had trouble, man, because of the technology. Y'all remember Shawshank Redemption, and the guy named Rookie was in the library, and he came out, and the car was going 25 miles an hour, and he got against the walls. It was too fast. And he committed suicide because he couldn't. When I came out, I went to Union Station and used the restroom. When I raised up, it flushed. It scared me to death. How in the hell they know I was finished? And who there looking at my back door? You know what I mean? So I got out the stall, and I'm looking all under the stall to see for some feet. Who flushed the toilet? Wasn't no thing there, and there no lever to flush it. So I'm walking over to the face bowl. I'm still looking back at the toilet. I'm waiting on this joker to put his foot down in one of them. He got to be in here. Toilets don't flush themselves by themselves. So as I walked over to the face bowl, walking over to the guy, there's no knobs. The face bowl broke. I put my hand on it and the water come out. I said, oh my goodness, what kind of stuff is this? You ain't got to turn nothing. Then I looked at the thing where the paper towels. I said, oh shucks, what the hell's going to happen here?
And that's the joint you wave your hand in front of.
I didn't know nothing about that, man. So I stayed in the bathroom for half an hour waiting on somebody to come through the door because I was afraid to go through the door. I didn't know what the door was going to do because everything was operating by itself. So you're not used to these kind of things. And that's intimidating. It's threatening. It makes you feel like you're inadequate, you're inferior, and you stand outside and you feel totally not lost. Have you ever been in a crowd and you're naked? You feel naked, man. When you're in a crowd of people, you feel like you ain't got nothing on. You don't know where to put your hands. You ain't nobody to talk to. You just lost, man.
You know what I think about when you saying you talk right now? I think about Fly Guy, and I'm gonna get you sucker.
Yeah,
He came out of jail with the fishbowl
Yeah,
boot.
for sure.
Right.
He was lost, man.
Exactly.
And he thought he was the
Ain't
coolest
no-
guy
yeah.
in town.
He thought
got
he was
goldfish
fly.
in his shoe.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
laughed that joke off the street.
Yeah, they was laughing at him. You're
That's
right.
what you go through, man. And these guys, there's a guy there last night, he'd been 40, another guy 36. When I went up on the stage last night, there was a guy walked up right beside me. And I've been knowing him over 55 years. And he walked up on the stage with me as I was going up to do my little thing last night. I said, man, what's going on? I've never ever seen him like that. His guy was dressed, he was clean, he was sharp. Last night, he wasn't clean. He wasn't dressed. And for 55 years, he was one of the cleanest guys I've known in this city. And he walked up on the stage with me, where you going at? He's not a part of the program. But I see that this guy is called it Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's, but he said, I was glad to see you, man. I called him this afternoon. I said, man, what happened? Why you come up on the stage last night? You all right? He was just glad to see you, man. I wanted to hug. And all he wanted was a hug. So I hugged him, man. And then we went around the other side. But it goes to show you, man, you got people, man, have been locked up for many years. And the relationship that me and Ty got with these guys have been out 30, 40, 50 years. Guys been in prison. Here goes some